Howdy. I'm going to take one more sip of coffee here before we get started. Mm, I'm thrilled about all of these days, but today is going to be really, really practical. And so I want you to be prepared for that. It's a lot of information. And just to set the stage, I'll be sharing information, but I'm going to have extra resources for you today on the replay page. And as we go through the slides and I'm teaching and talking, I'll tell you exactly what you can find on the replay page because obviously we can't go through all of the details in how to set up a resume or how to set up a LinkedIn profile, but that's okay because I have other things that will walk you through it step by step after I give the summary of what to do today. So let's get to it. Let's see, share. All right. So we're back for day 3. I love these challenges. I don't know, I was thinking this morning that maybe I need to do this like once a month. I have so much fun, and I hope that you are finding a lot of value, finding a lot of tips, tricks, and listen, some things you may have already learned. But it's always wonderful to have that extra little, yep, I remember, that's who I am. In fact, I just posted something on LinkedIn this morning telling a little bit of some of the career bumps that I've had. And how did I get out of it? I remembered something. Something came into my consciousness that I knew before, and I just went for it. I applied it again. So maybe this is that kind of experience for you, which is wonderful. There's still tons of value in that. So let's talk a little bit about yesterday. You have had a chance to spend some time with your strengths. Hopefully, you went over to ChatGPT and played around with those prompts. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling about your new destination? Did you give yourself a glimmer of hope? Did you give yourself a roadmap? What does that feel like? How are you feeling? Just be real with yourself. 1 to 10, there's no judgment here. It's just understanding where you are. And when you understand where you are, then you can start thinking critically about where you go from here. And listen, if you figured out your new destination or you have some clues about it, you've got to ask yourself this amazing question. If you were to make it to this new destination in the next 6 months, how would it change your life? That is a very empowering thing to think about. We're going to actually go more into that changed life tomorrow when we talk about the superpower, but it deserves some time and energy. What what would be different? How would you be feeling? What would your work-life balance look like? How much time would you have to spend with your family? How much of your brain power would be redirected to new things instead of the time and energy and hours that you're spending worrying, navigating a difficult personality, all of those things? It's definitely worth spending a little time thinking about. All right, but let's get on to today. I love this quote from Jack Canfield. I believe that people make their own luck by great preparation and good strategy. And yesterday I talked about the reticular activating system. So you actually have a mechanism in your brain that is helping you to make your own luck when you have great preparation, good strategy, and intention and attention on what you want. So all of the things I'm going to share with you today actually will be easier when you start thinking about this is an investment in myself. This is something I'm going to do. I deserve to have a job that feels good. That kind of attention and intention is going to make all of this tactical stuff just come a lot easier to you. So, we're going to talk about resume updates and tailoring. I'm actually going to show you an advanced resume template that write for all my clients. I'm sharing that with you. I'm going to talk to you about tailoring. One of the things that I hear people talk about on LinkedIn all the time is all the time and energy they're spending updating their resume with keywords and various things. And we won't get into a whole lot of ATS stuff today, but suffice to say, I've worked with an ATS. I know exactly what it can and can't do. I follow lots of really amazing recruiters on LinkedIn who are breaking myths about this supposed system that is messing with you, and it's not true. It's basically a big filing cabinet. And what you're doing with your resume is you're writing it for the person. You're writing it for the human reading it. And humans are a lot smarter, even if there was a bot and there isn't doing things in that applicant tracking system. I'm going to talk to you about effective networking techniques. And this does not have to be you showing up out there in the world or posting on LinkedIn all the time. I work with lots of people. You're probably one of them. You might be introverted. You might hate social media. That's okay. The way to do this, and especially if you're looking for a job, like I call under the radar, so you don't really want to put it out there that you're looking because you don't want your current boss or your current team to know that that's what you're doing. These networking techniques will work perfectly in that situation. And then I'm going to teach you how to have a stress-free job search. That might seem impossible, but it's absolutely possible. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. So let's talk about the job search tactics framework. There are three components that are active when you're having a successful job search. The first one is storytelling, strategy, and opportunities. It's these three things. That's all you need to know. What stories am I telling? What strategy am I employing? And what opportunities are available to me? That's it. You don't have to go any further than that. You just have to pay attention to those three things. Now, when I talk storytelling, I'm talking about your resume and I'm talking about interviews. That's it. You don't even have to tell a story on social media if you don't want to, but you do need to tell a compelling story. You need to have a compelling narrative on your resume. You got to have it working really hard for you so it opens those doors. And then you need to be able to bring that resume to life during your interviews. Now, when I talk strategy, I'm talking about connecting with people in the process. We'll get into that when we talk about effective networking. When we talk about opportunities, well, target companies. Think of companies that you've always liked to work for. Follow them on LinkedIn. Check their careers page on a regular basis. See if they have jobs for you. And then my favorite place to find opportunities is LinkedIn. And actually, my favorite place for opportunities to find you is also LinkedIn. And I'm going to tell you how to do that as well. So, what do I mean by a hard working resume? This is a resume that highlights skills and experience. It's a place to showcase your accomplishments. Let's put it this way. I could put a little insert arrow in there. Showcase your relevant accomplishments because not every accomplishment, even if it's your favorite, belongs on your resume if it's not relevant to the person reading it. You want every inch of real estate on that document to be about you, but for the other person. Keeping that in mind. Hey, I love this, but is this going to resonate with the other person? Is this something they're actually looking for? Is this a problem they're actually trying to solve? These are the kind of things that you're thinking about when you're showcasing your resumes. It's a place to market your transferable skills. So when you go through the strengths and skills that you have, and you're looking at the ones that are most relevant to the new destination that you have, you're leaving off the irrelevant ones. I know it feels weird, but listen, if you are back to yesterday's example. If you are a financial analyst and you don't want to do certain things anymore, you're not going to talk about all the number crunching that you did if you're going into a role that doesn't require that level of depth and detail of number crunching. It's not relevant to the role you're seeking, and it's not relevant to the person who's reading your resume, who hopefully has created a really good job description that you can use to help you find those relevancies, to help you find and connect the dots between what they need and what you can do. The hardworking resume is also to help you be seen by humans. And what I mean by seen is they see you, they get you, they are thinking, oh my gosh, you might be the one. That's being seen. That's going below the surface of the bullet points to really understanding you and not just what you can do, but how you will show up. Back to day one, all of those behavioral strengths are how you show up. So when your resume is infused with those kinds of descriptions, that means you are being seen and appreciated for who you really are. And that helps you stand out from the crowd. Because I'm telling you, not everybody is doing that. There's lots and lots of resumes out there, and everybody looks the same on paper. So, how do you stand out from the crowd? You treat your resume like it's your marketing campaign, and you implement a few new things to help you be that seen person. So let's talk about this advanced resume anatomy. This is the exact structure that I use when I write your resume. It's got some certain familiar components. Of course, you're going to have your name and contact information at the top. You do not need to put your address on there. So if you're still doing that, don't do it anymore. Number one, it's not necessary. Number two, it's wasted real estate. You need every spot on that document to be used to help you tell your story, to help you be seen by those people. So, name, contact information. By contact information, I mean your LinkedIn profile URL, your email address. You can use the personal email address that you use all the time, or some people like to create a new email address that is specifically for the job search, which is kind of cool because then you're not getting any of those rejections or follow-ups or anything like that into your personal email. You can be a little bit more strategic and deliberate about when you check that email box inbox. And then the other thing in contact information is going to be your city, state, zip code. If you are open to relocation, then you can put open to relocation in parentheses next to your current location, and then you're going to have your phone number. That's it. Easy peasy. Your headline. I see a lot of people missing this element, and the headline goes directly beneath your name and contact information, and your headline has three components. It has, in the first section, the first little bucket, as I call it, is going to be the exact job title you are applying for. The big mistake people make with their headline is they make it too general, financial analysis professional. Listen, if you're not going for financial analysis anymore, you don't need to put that on your headline. Even if the job titles later on in your professional experience have that job title, you want to be identified with the role you are seeking. And this helps the person reading it. Good, cool. This is the job they're applying for. And in the next two buckets, what you're going to put in are keywords. These keywords will be a job function, they will be a key strength, they will be a little bit of experience, and you're going to put those in the next two buckets. I like to use that little pipe symbol, that little vertical line separating the job title from the next two keywords that would you use. Those next two buckets, you don't have to make them up. What you want to do is you want to look for some keywords that feel really aligned to you, that really resonate with you, right there from the job description, and put those in your headline. Next is your summary. And please do not put a title professional summary. You don't need the title. You don't need to head that up. They know exactly what it is. And your professional summary is going to be a little bit about you, a little bit about the accomplishments that you have had, the impact you've had, all very strategically positioned to align with the role. So, again, don't put things in there that you don't want to do anymore. Narrow it down, be strategic. Some stuff's going to be left on the cutting room floor. If this was a movie of your story, keep it very, very relevant. Core competencies. I really like a core competencies section. And these, again, this is just keywords in 3 rows, no more than 4, separated by little pipe symbol that are identifiable skills, traits, hard skills, soft skills that you can do and they are looking for. Now, if you're in tech, maybe this is core competencies and technical skills is the headline. And you have 3 lines of core competencies that feel a little bit more like business competencies, transferable skills, soft skills. And then the next 2 or 3 lines are all those techie platforms that you know how to use. So that can be, really up to 6 lines if you consider that there's going to be a space between the core stuff and the tech stuff. And then, of course, you're going to have your professional experience. If your job title doesn't feel relevant at all to what you are aiming for, or this happens a lot, your job title is just some weird inside language that your company came up with, and it's kind of irrelevant to what you actually do on a day-to-day basis, then it's okay for you to put kind of a job function instead of a job title, but bury the job title in the description. You're going to be honest and truthful, full of integrity in this document, but there's ways to communicate it again so that you're sharing what you do, sharing what your title is, but helping it to be relevant to them. Then you're going to, of course, have your education and your professional development. I like including professional development in there if you've taken some classes, if you've gotten some certifications. Be sure to include those if they are relevant. You do not need volunteer work unless it's relevant. Let's say you're going to work for a nonprofit, you're going to pivot from corporate to nonprofit, and you happen to have some volunteer experience in that cause, then yes, put it in there. But if not, if it's not relevant, do not list it. It seems like fun, it seems like it's personal, but it is wasted space. So don't do it. And certainly it is very outdated and no longer best practices to say something like references available upon request or including names and contact information of other people they can get in touch with. Again, wasted space, no longer best practice. Don't do it. You'll have time to do that during the interview process. Now, there's a big gap here. What is it? This is the section that makes this advanced. I call this your essential strengths and accomplishments section. This is where you take a little narrative about you and your behavioral strengths with certain titles, and I'll give you a couple examples. You describe that about yourself, and then you pick an accomplishment that's relevant to the role and feels like a natural byproduct of that strength. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is how you figure it out. You consider your behavioral strengths. You think about what problems did you solve? How did you solve them? How did you interact? What did you do? How did you show up? These are all behaviors that help demonstrate what you contributed, who you are in the workplace. So if you've got your list from day one and you find out that you're a big picture person. So, what problems did you solve as a big picture person? How do you interact as a big picture person? I bet you, if that's you, you know how to get other people to think about the big picture. You know how to get other people brainstorming together and thinking of new solutions. Those are the kinds of descriptions that you want to have about yourself in this essential strengths and accomplishments section. Now, my cheat when I write your resume is we've got the personal dynamics report. We don't have to work very hard figuring all this out because we already have all these beautiful words about you, 18 pages of words about you that we can um, infuse into this narrative on your resume. You want thinking about accomplishments? Think about it like this. What happened? Sometimes you can reverse engineer it. You have heard about STAR, situation, tactics, action, results. SAR, which is situation, action, results. I also like CARL, which is context, action, results, learning. Well, if you take that and you reverse engineer it, you go backwards. What happened was the result. What result did you create? I'm telling you, my friend, you are creating results every single day. It isn't just work. It's it's contribution, it's impact, it's results that you are creating because you have knowledge, skills, and strengths that you are applying day in, day out. How many? Sometimes there's a number associated with it. How many people did you lead on your team? Maybe you're a project manager. And so it's kind of an individual contributor role, but how many people are involved with you in all of those cross-functional teams? That is a number that you should be including in your accomplishments. We talked about results. Are there other numerical values like percentages of improvement or cost effective numbers where you have reduced expenses, efficiency numbers? Anything with a numerical value is a great thing to include in an accomplishment because it's really giving the person reading your resume some hooks, some things to realize, oh my gosh, you could actually do this for me too. Progress and improvements, also important. Sometimes you don't have a specific numerical value, but you can still talk about the progress that you made, that you went from here to here, or your team went from here to here. Here are some examples of what you would include in that essential strengths and accomplishments narrative. I always like leadership and management, and you may be an individual contributor. That's totally fine. One of the sections in your personal dynamics report talks about your leadership style. You can start thinking about you, how you show up when you have to lead and guide others. Talk about that. What does it look like? How do you interact with people? What's your management mentality? Again, it's not managing people necessarily. It could be managing tasks, managing time, any of those things that kind of fall under the management description. What this is doing when you have this description and then you tie a very specific accomplishment to it, separate from the accomplishments and job functions that you will describe in your professional experience area, they start associating the accomplishments with you, not where you were working. You, you see that nuance? What if you worked for a big company and everybody knows the name of the company? They might think, well, yeah, of course you could have a chance to do that kind of stuff. You were working for that big company. We don't want them thinking that about you. I don't think necessarily people even thinking that on a conscious level. But you're there to guide the narrative. And especially when you're making a transition, especially when you're making a pivot, you want them to see what you bring to them because you are you apart from the opportunities you've had or the jobs you were doing that didn't feel right. Another great one is stellar communication. That's another section in the personal dynamics report. And if you think about how you're communicating, showcase your communication style. How do others respond to you? What's your attitude when you're communicating to others? I have clients who we would call selective communicators. They like to sit back and observe in a meeting. They like to take it all in. They actually like time to process before they give a response. And sometimes they don't say anything until they believe they're adding a meaningful contribution to the conversation. And then I have folks who love to present, love to brainstorm, love to persuade people, and are very interactive in that communication. Those are the kind of stories that you're telling. Those are the kind of things that you're showcasing. Then you're going to come up with an accomplishment that demonstrates your communication impact. Another one that's good, and it may or may not always be applicable. I think you can always talk about leadership and management. I think you can always talk about stellar communication because everybody has those embedded in them. Not everybody is flexible and adaptable, and that's okay. But this is just another example. Maybe it's business operations, maybe it's strategic thinking, maybe it's business development or relationship building. You kind of get the idea where we're going here. You head it up with a headline with a title that represents the behavior. You talk about the behavior and then you attach an accomplishment to it. Now, I realize this is a lot of words. So, what I always do is I always underline the accomplishment in these little sections because when you underline it, it gives people a place for their eyes to rest. If they're going to slow down and rest as they scan, we want them resting on the impact. We want to rest on the accomplishments. So, you've got your great advanced resume. How do you tailor it? How do you do it so that you are not spending 30 minutes tailoring your resume before every application or every submission to a person? Well, once you get it down with that advanced format, it's so easy because most of the time, all you're doing is you're changing your headline, remember? Because that one is always going to be the exact job title you're applying for, and two relevant skills or job functions associated with the job you're applying for. Something you can do that they need. You might make some little tweaks to your summary. Maybe this is you notice, oh, they said something in their description that I can absolutely do. So you're going to swap a little bit of that language in, take something else out, and then you're going to do something with your core competencies. The reason I call this active listening is because you're looking for the words they use and where you can reasonably, accurately, authentically place those words into your resume. And why do we even care about active listening? When we're talking to another person and we're using active listening, we are using some of the same words they use, and that is creating a sense of connection and rapport. That's what you want to think about when you're tailoring your resume. How can I create a sense of connection and rapport easily? You don't need to change a lot of stuff in your professional experience. Maybe you change something in your essential strengths and accomplishments area only if you've got, oh my gosh, I've got this other accomplishment that is really relevant to the problems they're solving, and I'm going to insert that one instead and take the other one out. I say just get a whole list of accomplishments going. Think of it as a menu. Every time you think of an accomplishment, you're collecting it on a Google Doc or a Word doc, and then you've got this menu that you can select from, pre-written, and you're sliding them in. When it comes to core competencies, if they say business development instead of customer development, then you change it to business development. If the business is dealing with customers, it kind of means the same thing. And it's Great to say, well, they understand what that means. Business analysis and business analytics means the same thing. But if they say business analytics and your resume says business analysis, just change it. Don't make their brain work any harder than it has to, because when you're using their words, it's easy for them and you're creating a sense of connection and rapport. It's a very powerful way to tell your story, and it doesn't take any time at all. There are tools you can use, like you can use a tagcrowd.com that will create a word cloud for you. You can copy and paste the job description in there. And if you like a visual of what the most used words are to make sure that, oh my gosh, they said it this way and I don't have that word in here, but I know I can do it, that's great. Or, of course, you can upload the job description into ChatGPT and say, pick out the most repeated keywords associated with this role. Then get your list. Then go back to your resume and just make that quickie comparison, tailor it up with active listening, and you are good to go. It should only take you like 10 or 15 minutes max to do this. What are the effective networking tactics? When you're on LinkedIn, you're always going to look for the meet the hiring team. If it's listed, that's their choice. It doesn't always have it. Sometimes it'll be people you can reach out to, and that means LinkedIn has already figured out, hey, you have some connections that might be connected with them. So LinkedIn is kind of taking their profile, scanning it, looking for relevant connections, like maybe they work for the company or they're connected with somebody in the company. These are really great hints at ways that you can reach out to people. If you don't see Meet the Hiring Team or you don't see anybody that you can reach out to, then just go to the company page, go to the people tab of the company page, and in the search field, type in the word recruiter. See who comes up. Look at those profiles. Make your best guess at who to reach out to. Listen, there are recruiters promoting this as well. I've always promoted this because here's what I think of as networking on LinkedIn. And I'm talking about networking, as I said, with people who are part of the process. I'm old enough to remember the times when we went to the newspaper and we printed our resume on a beautiful piece of paper and we walked it in and introduced ourselves. Hey, I would love to talk with you about your business analyst role. When you send a connection request and when you send an email to a recruiter or a hiring manager, you are just doing the virtual version of that. Well, yes, you're probably going to still apply online. Do this first, then apply online. If applying online is feeling kind of weary or you've only got this little pocket of time because you have a very busy schedule and you want to chill at night, then send the connection request, send the email. Depending on your subscription level, you probably only have 5 emails a month. If you have them at all, I do recommend that you at least temporarily sign up for the premium service because it's going to give you so many resources. But you know what? Send a connection request with a short note. Hi, Susie. I'm writing to introduce myself and let you know of my interest in your business analyst position. I look forward to connecting and learning more about your goals for the position. I always like ending it like that. Your goals for the role. Because you know what? It makes them think that you're interested in them. It makes them think that you're curious about them. And we are. But as humans, they need to feel heard too. We all do. So when you end your little note like that, it takes the pressure off them. You're not just pushing yourself on them, you're opening up a space for curiosity. Keeping your messages concise, on point, and mentioning the exact job title. What I just said was the exact message that I actually recommend. You don't get that many characters in a connection request. So keeping it concise, on point works really, really well. Then when they accept your connection request, which is all you needed them to do. You didn't need them to say, "Yay, great, thanks for connecting." They're busy people too. They just clicked yes, that's fine. Once you get notified that they have accepted, now you're sending a follow-up message. Thank you so much for connecting. I look forward to learning more about your business analyst role. In the meantime, I'm attaching my resume for your reference. I look forward to next steps. That's it. So easy. It's effective and it's actually very stress-free. So you're using this networking and connecting with the right people to your advantage. You're being selective and strategic with your online applications. Don't apply to anything and everything. I do think there's a numbers game, and I do think that if I told you that the 100th application was the job that you were going to get, how fast would you mow through 99? You wouldn't even care about the rejections of the 99 because you knew number 100 was the one. So you just keep going. You would just detach from any outcome of the other 99 because you knew number 100 was going to be it. Sometimes we have to trick our brains into thinking that way, but it's super duper helpful. And always follow up on your application. I like the three touch rule. Follow up 3 times. Hey, just checking in. Wanted to see where you're at with the reviewing candidates. Still interested. Love to touch base with you. Follow up 2 more times. Listen, it's better than than being left hanging, because usually by the third time you've heard something back, even if it's we're not ready to interview yet. But after you've reached out 3 times, followed up 3 times, then let it go. Just move on. Give yourself permission to move on. No regrets, no second guessing. They didn't get back to you. That's okay. You're moving on. You've got plenty of opportunities. And the other thing that is stress free about a job search is leveraging LinkedIn. You've got to make yourself discoverable. This means that while you're doing outreach stuff, while you're participating on the platform, even behind the scenes, sending connection requests, sending DMs, looking at jobs, saving jobs, leveraging the platform as it's being designed. LinkedIn, they want to be the source. They want to be the place where people come to for employment opportunities, where employers come to, where they can find really great candidates. So everything that they're doing is to make each other, employers and potential employees, discoverable to each other. And here's some stats that are kind of mind-boggling. Almost 90% of recruiters use LinkedIn to find candidates. There's 58 million companies listed on LinkedIn. 6 people are hired every second on LinkedIn. This is where we are all hanging out. Your complete profile will get you 21 times more profile views and 36% more messages. I see way too many profiles that are not leveraging the space, the real estate that LinkedIn gives us to tell our story. You want to be seen, you want to be discoverable. LinkedIn's a big giant search engine. And there are people using Boolean search strings full of keywords to find potential candidates. And if those keywords, if those descriptions are not on your profile, they can't find you. That's why 40% of companies who are on LinkedIn are relying on skills filters to identify candidates. If they are using their LinkedIn Recruiter subscription, they have that same list of skills that LinkedIn is giving us, so they're ticking those off. Another top tip: follow the companies that you want to work for, because one of their filters is show me people who are following my company. There's a whole lot of people that disappear from the search results because they're not following the company. This is not to exclude people, it's to make the whole process more efficient and to make the people who are interested already, who will accept a connection request from a recruiter, who will have a conversation, more likely. The other thing, and look for this, is sometimes on a company page, on their about page, or towards the bottom of a job post, you have the opportunity to push a button to express your interest. And when you do, your profile is shared with the person who is managing those incoming notices. Why wouldn't you want to just raise your hand silently to let someone know of your interest? You do not have to have the green open to work frame. If you're here, I know you're probably already working, hating life, and you don't want anybody to know. That's okay. You don't even have to turn on the recruiters only version if you don't want to. You can use these tactics and be seen. Studies show that when you list at least 5 relevant skills, you increase your chance your profile will be discovered. So you can list the skills, but you also want to list the narrative because that helps you be seen in those Boolean search string searches. One of the things that I'm going to share with you in your downloads is a LinkedIn profile cheat sheet. This is just the top section of it. It's a long document because I'm going from top to bottom over the entire LinkedIn profile, giving you these tips and tricks. So everything in red is kind of the little instructions. If I'm going to tell you one thing in advance of this cheat sheet is your headline needs to be future focused. I would list the most relevant job functions, the keywords, any adjacent job titles, anything that you do that is relevant to where you're going. That's what you want to do with your headline. In your About section on LinkedIn, you get 2,600 characters. In your Experience section, every job you list in there, you have 2,000 characters to describe what you do. This is like your own personal website. Use it. So, can you commit to investing in and implementing these practical tactics? It's absolutely worth it. You've got to commit to it, though. Can you commit to including some really awesome, compelling narratives about yourself on your resume and keeping track of your accomplishments as they come to mind so that you can swap those in and out? This is a commitment to make to yourself that is going to take you to where you want to go. Tomorrow is Career Reset Superpower. And I leave this always for last because you can be doing all of the other things that we've been describing so far: the tactics, setting up a destination, getting really clear about the strengths that you bring to your roles. But if you do not implement this career reset superpower, your job search is going to take longer. It's going to be more stressful. So I'm going to talk to you about this. And to set the stage for tomorrow, I love this Viktor Frankl quote. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This quote is probably from Man's Search for Meaning. It's a fantastic book. It's life changing, quite frankly. So that's what tomorrow's about. That's about taking everything you've learned and then changing yourself to believe in what's possible for you. There are 3 levels of belief. Disbelief is a belief. If you don't believe it can happen, guess what? It's not going to happen. I hope that through today, you have moved from disbelief to possible, and then from possible belief to inevitable belief, because it is inevitable. You absolutely will reset your career. All right, let's do this. Let's not mess around anymore. I want that to be a new thought for you. I'm not messing around anymore. I've got this. I can do this. I'm on to my next thing. All right, my friends. I'll talk to you tomorrow.